Captain Lee Daeho looked out the small window of the transport ship. The sight before him made his heart beat faster. Station Nexus Prime was huge. It was bigger than any city on Earth. The station spun slowly in space, its lights twinkling, like stars. "Are you ready for this?" asked Dr. Park Mi-young. She sat beside him, checking her translation device one more time. Her hands shook a little. "As ready as anyone can be," Lee said. He tried to sound calm, but inside he felt nervous too. They were about to meet aliens. Real aliens. Not just one or two, but representatives from 47 different worlds. The transport ship moved closer to the station. Through the window, Lee could see other ships. Some looked like metal birds. Others looked like giant crystals. One ship seemed to be made of pure light. Each ship belonged to a different alien race. "Remember," Park said, "we are here to prove that humans deserve a place in the Galactic Council. Everything we do matters." Lee nodded. He had studied alien cultures for months. He knew this meeting would decide Earth's future. If they failed, humanity would remain alone in space. If they succeeded, Earth would join the greatest alliance in the galaxy. Their ship docked with a soft bump. The airlock opened with a hiss. Cool air rushed in, carrying strange smells. Lee smelled something like flowers, but also like metal and ozone. "Welcome to Station Nexus Prime," said a voice. The voice came from a tall, thin creature made of what looked like living crystal. Light moved through its body like water. "I am Ambassador Veltar. I speak for the Council today." Lee bowed politely. "I am Captain Lee Daeho. This is Dr. Park Mi-young. We represent Earth and all humans." Veltar's crystal body flashed different colors. Lee hoped that meant the alien was pleased. With aliens, it was hard to tell. They walked through long hallways. The station was full of amazing sights. Creatures floated in the air without wings. Others rolled on many legs like living wheels. Some aliens looked almost human, but with extra arms or different colored skin. "Your species is young," Veltar said as they walked. "Most races discover space travel much later in their development. This makes the Council worried." "Worried about what?" Park asked. "Young races are often violent. They fight first and ask questions later. The Council has seen this many times before." Lee felt a chill. He knew human history was full of wars, but humans had also done good things. They had art, music, and love. They cared for animals and protected their planet. Well, most of the time. They entered a massive room. The ceiling was so high Lee could barely see it. The room was shaped like a circle with seats arranged in rings going up toward the ceiling. In each seat sat a different kind of alien. Some aliens looked like giant insects. Others looked like walking plants. A few looked like they were made of smoke or fire. Lee had never seen so many different life forms in one place. "Humans," announced Veltar. The crystal being's voice echoed through the room. "The Council will now judge if your species is ready to join us." A loud voice boomed from somewhere in the upper seats. "They look weak," it said. Lee saw the speaker was a huge reptile-like creature with sharp teeth. "Their bodies are soft. They have no natural weapons." "Appearances can fool us," said another voice. This one sounded like singing wind. "But we must test them properly." Veltar's crystal body flashed bright blue. "The Council has prepared tests. These tests will show us what humans truly are." Lee's stomach felt tight. "What kind of tests?" "Tests of wisdom, tests of courage, tests of character." Veltar paused. "The first test is the most important. You must prove you can face danger without becoming dangerous yourself." A door opened at the far end of the room. The sound that came out made every human instinct scream, "Run!" It was a growl, deep and threatening. The sound of a predator. "What is that?" Park whispered. "The Kethmori," Veltar said. "It is our guardian beast. For thousands of years, every new species has faced this test. They must approach the Kethmori and show they are not a threat to the galaxy." The growling got louder. Heavy footsteps echoed from the dark doorway. Lee could see glowing eyes in the shadows. What happened to the other species who took this test? Lee asked. Veltar's colors dimmed. Some ran away in fear. Others attacked the creature. A few tried to use weapons or tricks. All failed. None of them passed? Park asked. None, said the giant reptile from the upper seats. The Kethamori has never accepted any species. It attacks those who show fear. It attacks those who show aggression. Your species will be no different. Lee felt sweat on his forehead. This was not what he had expected. He had prepared for difficult questions, not for facing some alien monster. The creature stepped into the light. Lee's breath caught in his throat. The Kethamori was huge. It stood 12 feet tall at the shoulder. Its body was covered in black fur that seemed to absorb light. Its paws were the size of dinner plates with claws like knives. Its mouth was full of teeth that could bite through steel. But what struck Lee most were its eyes. They were intelligent. This was not just a wild beast. This creature was smart, maybe as smart as any being in the room. The Kethamori's eyes scanned the room, then focused on Lee and Park. Its lips pulled back, showing more of those terrible teeth. A low rumble came from its throat. The test begins now, Veltar announced. Approach the Guardian and prove your species worthy of trust. Lee looked at Park. Her face was pale, but she nodded at him. They had come too far to give up now. The room fell silent. 47 different species watched and waited. Some leaned forward in their seats. Others seemed ready to flee if things went wrong. Lee took a step forward. The Kethamori's eyes locked onto his. The creature's muscles tensed, ready to spring. This was it. Everything humanity had worked for came down to this moment. One human and one alien predator, face to face. Lee took another step forward. The Kethamori's growl grew louder. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. Lee stood still and watched the Kethamori carefully. The huge creature stared back at him with glowing yellow eyes. Its black fur rippled as powerful muscles moved beneath. The beast was ready to attack or defend at any moment. Around the great chamber, alien voices whispered nervously. Lee could hear the fear in their sounds even though he did not understand their languages. Look how it watches the human, said a voice like grinding stone. The speaker was Elder Zixandra, an ancient being that looked like a giant praying mantis. Her forearms moved in worried gestures. In my 300 years, I have never seen the Guardian so focused. Commander Torval stood near the chamber's edge. He was tall and covered in golden fur like a walking wolf. His hand rested on his weapon. Should I prepare to intervene? He asked Ambassador Veltar. Wait, Veltar replied. The crystal being's body flashed orange and red colors. Let us see what this human will do. Lee ignored the alien voices. He had learned to focus on animals during his years as a scientist, on Earth. Right now, only the Kethamori mattered. The creature's ears were pointed forward. That was good. Forward ears meant curiosity, not just anger. Its tail was low, but not tucked under its body. Also good. A tucked tail would mean pure fear or submission. Lee noticed something else. The Kethamori's breathing was fast, but steady. Its mouth was slightly open. These were signs Lee recognized from Earth animals. You're not just angry, Lee said quietly to the beast. You're nervous too, aren't you? The Kethamori's head tilted slightly at the sound of Lee's calm voice. Several aliens gasped. The creature had never responded to speech before. Dr. Park watched from behind Lee. Her translation device was recording everything, but she stayed very still. She knew any sudden movement might break whatever was happening. Lee took another small step forward. The Kethamori's eyes followed his movement, but the creature did not growl louder. That was progress. Easy there, Lee said in the same quiet voice he used with scared animals on Earth. I'm not here to hurt you, I just want to say hello. The words meant nothing to the alien creature, but the tone did. Lee kept his voice low and gentle. He had used this same voice with wild wolves, in Siberia, with lions in Africa, with bears in Alaska. Elder Zixandra's four eyes went wide. Impossible, she whispered. The Guardian's aggressive posture is changing. She was right. The Kethmori's shoulders were relaxing. Its breathing was slowing down. The creature was still alert, but no longer ready to spring into attack. Commander, Torvald's ears flattened against his head. This should not be happening, he said. No species has ever calmed the Guardian. It goes against everything we know. Lee took another step. Now he was only 10 feet away from the massive predator. At this distance, the Kethmori could kill him in one leap. But Lee showed no fear. Instead, Lee did something that shocked every alien in the chamber. He slowly lowered himself to one knee. This made him smaller, less threatening. It was a gesture of respect, not submission. The Kethmori's ears moved forward even more. Its yellow eyes studied the strange creature that made itself smaller instead of trying to appear bigger and stronger. Good boy, Lee said softly. Or girl. I can't tell from here, but that's okay. A sound came from the Kethmori that no alien had ever heard before. It was not a growl or a snarl. It was almost like a question, a soft rumble that sounded curious. By the seven suns, gasped a floating jellyfish-like alien from the upper seats. The Guardian is trying to communicate. Lee held out his hand, palm up. His movements were slow and careful. He had done this same gesture with thousands of animals on Earth. It showed he had no weapons and no intention to grab or strike. Theo. Kethmori looked at the outstretched hand. Its massive head moved closer just a little. Lee could smell its breath now, like metal and ozone, but also strangely familiar. That's it, Lee whispered. Take your time. No rush. Around the chamber, aliens held their breath. Some covered their eyes, expecting to see the human torn apart. Others leaned forward, fascinated by what they were witnessing. The Kethmori took a step closer, then another. Its huge paws made no sound on the metal floor despite their size. This creature was a perfect predator built for silent hunting, but right now it was not hunting. It was investigating. Lee stayed perfectly still as the creature's massive head came within inches of his hand. He could see individual hairs in its black fur. He could see the intelligence in its glowing eyes. The Kethmori's nose, wet and cold, touched Lee's palm. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Aliens cried out in languages from across the galaxy. Some sounded amazed. Others sounded terrified. Impossible, shouted General Crixnoth, the giant reptile. The Guardian has never allowed physical contact. This human must be using some kind of mind control. I sense no deception, said a soft voice. It came from Healer Mordian, a pale blue alien with large black eyes. My empathic abilities detect only genuine curiosity from both beings. Lee felt the creature's warm breath on his hand. Slowly, carefully, he moved his fingers to gently touch the Kethmori's nose. The beast did not pull away. Hello there, Lee, said quietly. You're not so scary, are you? You're just doing your job, keeping everyone safe. The Kethmori made that questioning sound again, but louder. Its tail, which had been low and still, began to move slightly from side to side. Elder, Zixandra nearly fell from her seat. The tail movement, she said in amazement. In all my studies of the Guardian, I have never seen such behavior. Lee smiled. He recognized that tail movement. It was the same thing dogs did on Earth when they were starting to feel happy and relaxed. You want to be friends, don't you? Lee asked the massive creature. You've been alone here for so long, just being scary for all these tests. But you're really just a big puppy inside. The Kethmori's ears went fully forward. Its mouth opened in what almost looked like a smile. The creature took another step closer and gently pushed its massive head against Lee's shoulder. The chamber fell completely silent. Not one alien spoke or moved. They were witnessing something that challenged everything they believed about predators, about fear, and about the nature of different species. Lee raised his other hand and gently scratched behind the Kethmori's. The sound that came from the Guardian then was unlike anything it had ever made. It was a deep, rumbling purr of contentment. For the first time in galactic history, the apex predator was happy. The deep purring sound filled the entire chamber. Lee continued scratching behind the Kethmori's ear, amazed at how soft the creature's fur was. The massive predator leaned into his touch like a giant cat. "This cannot be real," whispered General Krixnoth. His reptilian voice shook with disbelief. "The Guardian has killed warriors from 12 different worlds. It has torn apart combat robots. How can it be gentle with this soft human?" Elder Zixandra stood up on her 4 legs, her ancient body trembling. "In 300 years of service to the Council, I have witnessed over 200 species attempt this test. Not one has even touched the Guardian without being attacked." "Tear." Kethmori made a soft whining sound and pushed its massive head harder against Lee's shoulder. Lee laughed quietly and used both hands to scratch the creature's neck and behind its ears. "You like that, don't you?" Lee said gently. "Just like every dog I've ever met." Commander Torval's golden fur stood on end. His wolf-like features showed complete confusion. "What is a dog?" he asked Dr. Park. Park activated her translation device. Her hands still shook, but she managed to speak clearly. "Dogs are animals from our world. Humans and dogs have been friends for thousands of years." "Friends?" Torval repeated the word, like it was foreign. "You mean partners? Like hunting allies?" "No," Park said. "True friends. We live together, play together, care for each other. Dogs protect human children. Humans feed and heal dogs when they are sick." The chamber filled with confused alien voices. Several species began arguing loudly. "Impossible," screeched a bird-like creature from the upper seats. "Predators and prey cannot be friends. The natural order forbids it." "The human must be controlling the Guardian's mind somehow," insisted a floating blob of green slime. "There is no other explanation." Healer Mordian raised one pale blue hand for silence. Her large black eyes glowed softly as she used her empathic powers. "I can read the emotions of both beings," she announced. "The human feels joy, wonder, and genuine affection. The Guardian feels happiness. Pure happiness. There is no mind control, no deception, no fear." This caused even more chaos. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded that Lee be arrested for witchcraft. Others insisted the test was invalid because it had been corrupted somehow. Through all the noise, Lee stayed focused on the Kethmori. The creature seemed upset by all the shouting. Its ears flattened against its head and it pressed closer to Lee for comfort. "Hey, it's okay," Lee said soothingly. "They're just surprised. They've never seen anything like this before." Then something happened that shocked even Lee. The massive Kethmori slowly lowered itself to the ground. It rolled onto its side, exposing its belly to the human. The chamber fell dead silent. Elder Zixandra's 4 eyes went wide with horror. "The belly display," she whispered. "The Guardian is showing complete submission. This is impossible. Apex predators never submit to anyone." Lee knew what the belly display meant. He had seen it with wolves, dogs, and other predators on Earth. It was the ultimate sign of trust. The creature was showing Lee its most vulnerable spot, believing completely that the human would not hurt it. "Good boy," Lee said softly. He gently rubbed the creature's belly. The Kethmori's back leg kicked slightly, just like a dog getting its belly scratched. Commander Torval stumbled backward. "This goes against everything we know about predator behavior," he said. "Apex predators do not submit. They do not show weakness. They do not play." But the Kethmori was playing. It rolled back and forth, making happy rumbling sounds. Its massive paws batted gently at Lee's hands like a playful kitten. Dr. Park stepped forward carefully. "Captain Lee," she said, "the Council needs an explanation." Lee looked up at the dozens of alien faces staring down at him. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. A few looked curious. "This is normal for humans," Lee said simply. "We make friends with other species. We always have." "Explain," demanded Ambassador Veltar. The crystal being's body flashed rapid colors of confusion and concern. Lee stood up slowly. The Kethmori rolled back onto its belly but stayed lying down, looking completely relaxed and happy. On Earth, humans live with many different animals, Lee began. We have dogs in our homes. They sleep in our beds and play with our children. We have cats that purr when we pet them. We have horses that carry us and trust us completely. These animals are your slaves? Asked General Crixnoth. No, Lee said, firmly. They are our friends, our family. We take care of each other. Dogs will die to protect human children. Humans will risk their lives to save a dog from danger. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. This concept seemed impossible to them. We also work with wild animals, Lee continued. I have studied wolves in the wilderness. I have worked with lions and tigers. Even the most dangerous predators can learn to trust humans if we show them respect and understanding. But why? Asked Elder Zixandra. What do you gain from befriending creatures that could kill you? Lee thought for a moment. Friendship, he said. Love, loyalty, joy. These things make life worth living. The Kethmori stood up and walked over to Lee. It sat down beside him like an enormous dog, leaning against his side. Lee scratched its head absent-mindedly. Show them, Park said quietly to Lee. She activated her device and projected images into the air above them. The holographic pictures showed humans throughout history with animals. Ancient cave paintings of humans and wolves hunting together, modern photos of children playing with dogs, videos of wildlife researchers working peacefully with dangerous predators. The aliens watched in stunned silence as image after image showed the same thing: humans and animals living together, working together, caring for each other. This is your secret, whispered Healer Mordian. This is why you succeeded where all others failed. You do not see the Guardian as a test to overcome. You see it as a friend to make. Lee nodded. Every animal has feelings. They can be scared, happy, lonely, or playful. If you understand their feelings and show them kindness, they will show kindness back. The Kethmori made a soft sound and nuzzled Lee's hand. The human smiled and continued petting the massive creature that had terrified the galaxy for centuries. For the first time ever, the apex predator had found a friend. The council chamber buzzed with worried voices. Aliens whispered to each other in dozens of languages. Some sounded amazed. Others sounded afraid. A few sounded angry. Ambassador Veltar's crystal body flashed red and orange colors rapidly. This meant the council speaker was deeply troubled. Captain Lee, Veltar said, what you have shown us changes everything we know about species relationships. Lee continued petting the Kethmori, which had settled down beside him like a giant, contented dog. I don't understand why this surprises you so much, he said honestly. Elder Zixandra moved her forearms in nervous gestures. Young human, you have done something impossible. In all of galactic history, predators and other species have only 3 relationships: hunter and prey, competitor and competitor, or master and slave. But never friends? Lee asked. Never friends, confirmed Commander Torval. His wolf-like features showed deep confusion. Even my own species, which shares some traits with your dogs, has never formed bonds with other species. We fight or we ignore each other. That is the natural way. Dr. Park stepped forward with her translation device. Perhaps we should show them more, she suggested to Lee. Help them understand how normal this is for humans. Lee nodded. Park, show them the wildlife rescue videos. Park activated her device again. New holographic images filled the air above them. These showed humans working with injured wild animals. A woman feeding orphaned lion cubs. A man swimming with whales in the ocean. Children helping injured birds learn to fly again. These animals could kill the humans, observed General Crixnoth. Yet the humans show no fear. Because they're not trying to kill us, Lee explained. They know we're trying to help them. Animals are smart. They can tell the difference between someone who wants to hurt them and someone who wants to help. More images appeared. Humans working with elephants to protect forests, scientists living peacefully among gorillas, farmers protecting wolves instead of hunting them. "This is madness," declared a spider-like alien from the upper seats. "Predators exist to hunt. Prey exists to be hunted. This is the law of nature." "Maybe that's your law," Lee said gently. "But it's not ours." Healer Mordian floated closer, her empathic abilities focused on Lee and the Keth Mori. "The emotional bond between them grows stronger," she reported. "I sense deep trust, affection, and joy. Both beings experience pure joy from this connection." Keth Mori lifted its massive head and looked at Lee with intelligent yellow eyes. It made a soft whining sound. "You're getting tired, aren't you?" Lee said to the creature. "All this attention and excitement. I know the feeling." To everyone's shock, the Keth Mori yawned. Its huge mouth opened, showing all those terrible teeth, but the gesture was completely peaceful. Then the massive predator laid its head on Lee's lap like a sleepy pet. "It trusts him completely," whispered Elder Zixandra. "Complete. Absolute trust. I have never seen anything like this." Professor Neil Thara, an ethereal being made of swirling mist, spoke for the first time. "I have been calculating the evolutionary probability of what we witness," she said in a voice like wind through leaves. "According to all known biological laws, this should be impossible. Yet here it is," Lee said simply. He stroked the Keth Mori's head gently. "Sometimes impossible things happen when you approach them with love instead of fear." Ambassador Veltar's colors shifted from red and orange to blue and purple. This meant deep thought and consideration. "Captain Lee, Dr. Park, the Council must discuss what we have witnessed. But first we need to understand something important." "What's that?" Park asked. "Is this ability limited to you, Captain Lee? Or can other humans do this as well?" Lee smiled. "Any human can learn to work with animals. Some are better at it than others, but it's not magic, it's just understanding patience and kindness." "Show us more proof," demanded General Crixnoth. Park activated her device once more. This time the images showed ordinary humans with their pets. Families playing with dogs in parks, children cuddling with cats, elderly people walking with small birds perched on their shoulders. "Every human can do this?" asked Commander Torval. "Most of us," Lee confirmed. "We grow up with animals. We learn to read their body language, understand their needs, and show them love. In return, they love us back." The chamber filled with the sound of aliens talking excitedly to each other. Many seemed to be arguing. Elder Zixandra raised her voice above the noise. "There are ancient texts," she announced, "old legends that speak of a bridge species, a race that would come to unite all others in harmony. We thought these were just stories." "What do these legends say?" Park asked. "They tell of beings who could speak the language of the heart, who could turn enemies into friends, predators into protectors. They would bring peace between species that had fought for millions of years." Professor Neil Thara's misty form swirled faster. "The mathematical probability suggests that humans evolved this trait through necessity. Your planet has more dangerous predators than most worlds. Yet instead of becoming better hunters, you became better friends." "That's right," Lee said. "Long ago humans were weak and slow. We couldn't outrun big predators or fight them with claws and teeth. So we learned to make them our allies instead. Wolves helped us hunt. Horses helped us travel. Dogs helped us guard our homes." The Keth Mori made a comfortable rumbling sound and shifted to get more comfortable on Lee's lap. Despite its massive size, it seemed to think it was a small pet. "This changes everything," Veltar said. "If humans can truly make friends with any species, then you are not just another race asking to join the Council. You might be the solution to problems we have struggled with for centuries." "What problems?" Lee asked. Commander Torval stepped forward. "There are species in our galaxy that refuse to communicate. Predator races that attack first and never listen. Ancient enemies that have been fighting so long they forgot why the wars started. You think humans could help make peace? Park asked. If you can befriend our guardian, Elder Zixandra said, looking at the contentedly sleeping Kethmori. Perhaps you can befriend anyone. The massive creature opened one yellow eye and looked at Lee. It made a questioning sound. Don't worry, Lee said softly. I'm not going anywhere. The Kethmori closed its eye and went back to sleep, completely trusting and at peace. 3 hours later, the great chamber doors opened again. Captain Yoon Sung-ho walked in, followed by Dr. Choi Hee-jin and 2 other humans from Earth. They had come as backup, but they stopped in shock when they saw Lee sitting calmly with the massive Kethmori still sleeping peacefully in his lap. What in the world? Yoon whispered to Park. Long story, Park whispered back. Just act normal and follow Lee's lead. Ambassador Veltar's crystal body flashed bright blue to get everyone's attention. The council has reached a decision, the speaker announced. But first, we must witness one more demonstration. Dr. Choi stepped forward. She was a small woman with kind eyes and gentle hands. What do you need us to do? She asked. Elder Zixandra pointed to several large doors around the chamber. We have other guardian creatures, beasts from different worlds that have never been tamed. If humans truly have this gift, then it should work with any dangerous creature. Are you asking us to risk our lives? Yoon asked carefully. We are asking you to show us the future, Veltar replied. Lee gently moved the sleeping Kethmori's head from his lap. The massive creature opened its eyes and made a questioning sound. I have to work for a little while, Lee told it softly, but I'll be right back. The Kethmori stood up, stretched like a giant cat, then sat down nearby. It watched Lee with intelligent eyes, ready to protect its new friend if needed. The first door opened. Out came a creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a scorpion. It had thick armor plates and a poison tail that curved over its back. Several aliens moved away from it quickly. Dr. Choi approached it slowly, just as Lee had done with the Kethmori. She spoke in soft, calming tones. She held out her hand carefully. The armored creature studied her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, it lowered its dangerous tail and allowed her to touch its snout. Impossible, breathed General Crixnoth. The second door opened. A flying creature emerged. Something like a dragon with crystal wings and fire in its throat. Captain Yoon stepped forward to meet it. Easy there, beautiful, Yoon said calmly. Those are some amazing wings you have. The dragon creature landed and folded its wings. When Yoon held out his hand, it sniffed carefully, then allowed him to pet its neck. One by one, the guardian creatures were brought out. Each time, a human approached with patience and kindness. Each time, the impossible happened. Deadly predators became gentle friends. The council chamber was completely silent except for the soft sounds of humans talking to alien creatures in gentle voices. How? Elder Zixandra finally asked. How is this possible? Dr. Choi looked up from where she was scratching behind the armor-plated creature's ears. Every animal wants the same things, she explained. Food, safety, and someone who cares about them. If you show them you care, they will care about you back. Commander Torval shook his golden-furred head in amazement. My species has tried, for centuries, to tame some of these creatures. We used chains, cages, electric shocks, nothing worked. Because you were trying to control them, Lee said. We're not trying to control anything. We're just being friends. Professor Neil Thera's misty form swirled with excitement. The implications are staggering. If humans can form bonds with any species, they could serve as translators, mediators, peacekeepers. There are wars in the outer systems, Veltar said. Ancient conflicts between species that refuse to communicate. Traditional diplomacy has failed completely. Maybe they just need someone who speaks their language, Yoon suggested. Not their words, but their feelings. Healer Mordian floated among the humans and their new animal friends. The emotional connections are genuine in every case, she reported. I sense no fear, no aggression, only trust, curiosity, and growing affection. Elder Zixandra stood up slowly on her 4 legs. The council has made its decision, she announced. Humanity will not simply be granted membership in the Galactic Council. Lee felt his heart sink. Had they failed after all? Instead, Zixandra continued, humanity will be given a special position. You will serve as the Council's official peacekeepers and mediators. Your unique ability to befriend any species makes you invaluable to galactic harmony. The chamber erupted in surprised voices. Some aliens sounded pleased. Others sounded worried about this major change. What does this mean exactly? Park asked. Veltar's crystal body flashed bright gold colors of joy and hope. It means when species cannot make peace, we will send humans to help them understand each other. When dangerous creatures threaten colonies, we will ask humans to communicate with them, instead of destroying them. You want us to be galactic animal whisperers? Dr. Choi asked with a smile. We want you to be bridge builders, Elder Zixandra said, just as the ancient legends predicted. Lee looked around at his fellow humans, each sitting peacefully with a creature that had been considered untamable. The Kethmori had moved closer to him again and was leaning against his side protectively. We accept, Lee said simply. Over the following days, human teams were assigned to work with different alien species. They helped resolve conflicts that had lasted for generations. They taught other species how to approach dangerous animals with kindness instead of weapons. Commander Torval was the first to request human help with his own people. We want to learn, he said. If creatures like the Kethmori can become friends instead of fears, perhaps we can learn to see the galaxy differently. The Kethmori, meanwhile, refused to return to its containment area. It had chosen Lee as its permanent companion and followed him everywhere. Other council members were amazed to see the massive predator acting like a loyal pet. It has bonded with you completely, Healer Mordian observed. In its mind, you are part of its pack now. Lee scratched the creature's ears affectionately. I guess that makes us partners then. The Kethmori rumbled its agreement and nuzzled Lee's hand. As months passed, the galaxy began to change. Ancient enemies learned to communicate through human mediators. Dangerous creatures became protectors instead of threats. Species that had never spoken to each other began forming new alliances. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not as conquerors or servants, but as friends to all. They had proven that the strongest bonds are not made with chains or weapons, but with understanding, patience, and love. The age of galactic harmony had begun, led by a species that knew the simple truth. Every creature, no matter how dangerous or different, just wanted someone to care about them. And humans were very good at caring.